I want to share my watercolor set with you. This is a very amazing set. As a beginner, I would suggest you to go with something like this. The watercolor pens in this one, as you can see, the colors that I have used the most. So the most you will be using will be burnt sienna. And if you are into a lot of landscaping and stuff, so you might also be more motivated towards the greens and the blues. So that's about it, and it's a really fun set. It comes with 3 trays and a paintbrush, so it's pretty handy to use. The reference that I used earlier, so I want to show you how you can also use this to figure out the color combinations that you want for your pattern. So I'm a lot towards the nature and the colors of the nature, so for this art I'm going to lean more towards these colors, and I might touch a little bit on these sides, and let's see how we go with these colors. So that's kind of what my focus is on. But if you look at these colors, you can use them to figure out if what colors will go together and what combinations will look amazing. A colorful one with reds will also be cool. Purples. You can figure your colors out if you have a reference like this. Very simple to make. Just wet your brush and make simple geometric patterns like square that I made over here, and just label them. All the material used in this art can be found in the description. Let me introduce you to different beginner techniques to use watercolors. Let's start by making colors. You can make different shades by mixing colors, but that is not what we are doing today. I am picking cobalt blue in the palette with a wet brush. Now on a dry watercolor paper, I made a rectangle with wet brush and paint on my palette. Next, I am using a wet brush to make my shape with water only on the paper, and then adding the color Hooker's Green Dark from the palette directly. The above two techniques are called wet on dry and wet on wet respectively. Here I am mixing 2 shades of green, Hooker's Green Dark and Sap Green. Wet on wet, to allow the colors to flow into each other and make fun patterns. Now I'm just making different size rectangles and squares as I go. There is no rule that I'm following over here, just having fun, making random shapes, taking random shades of blues, greens and browns, and I just continue. Sometimes I make wet on wet, sometimes I make dry on wet, and so on. So the purpose of this art is to just have fun. In the blue square, I left some white spaces. I didn't color in. Then I wet my paintbrush in water with no color on it and drop water on random locations in the square to create ripple effect. You can also add salt on wet paint for patterns and dust it off when the paint dries. Continue to have fun using a variety of different ways and see how water and colors interact. When you take the color out into the palette to work with the amount of water in your pigment, it changes the shade on the paper, depending on how much water is there in the paint. When working directly from the pens, you get intense colors. It is always better to work with color on palette when working on a piece of art that is less forgiving, like this one. Here we are just having fun with different shapes of rectangles and squares and making an irregular grid as we go. Let the shapes flow into each other for fun effects as well. Try different shades of your color choice. Introduce contrasting colors. If your shades are light and you want them to be darker, work on a second layer on top to intensify the colors. Once you are satisfied with your watercoloring, let it dry completely before the next step. Now we will use poscas in black and white to draw fun geometric patterns on top of our shapes. There are alternatives suggested in the description as well. We will start with a triangle pattern. You can work with any number of patterns from 3 to 6 for this size art, but anything less or more will either look uniform or overwhelming respectively. I will introduce you to some fun patterns, and really the ideas are endless. So I ask you to be creative in this process. There are no perfections or accuracy involved here. Just have fun as you go. Once your design is complete, simply frame it and enjoy your results. This is also fun to do in your sketchbook, notebook cover, and on a large feature wall. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you soon with another project. Till then, stay creative. Bye.